Hello, and welcome to another episode of In My Experience with yours truly, Christine DeGinto. This podcast is a space where I speak from lived experience. The moments that shaped me, challenged me, and changed the way that I understand myself in the world. The awakenings, the breakdowns, the moments that cracked me open, asked me to stay present, be embodied, and be honest with myself. I share my stories not to persuade or define truth for anyone else, but to offer perspective, to explore the gray areas we don't often have language for, to slow things down and listen more closely to what's happening beneath the surface. You'll hear solo episodes where I reflect on my own initiations, spiritual gifts, and the systems that tried to define me. And conversations with guests who have walked strange, beautiful, and sometimes painful paths of their own and come back with wisdom to share with us. I invite you to take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust your own experience as valid. Thank you for being here. This is In My Experience. Welcome back to In My Experience. Today's episode is a sharecast with my new bestie, Mandy Hayes of Lemon, Sage, and Lavender. We recorded these episodes back on January 29th, just so you're aware of that. And our conversation, honestly, goes everywhere in the best way. It's one of those unstructured real-time conversations where nothing was planned, but everything that comes through feels like it needed to be said. I'm joined again by Mandy, and what unfolds here is a deep dive into awakening, perception, and the very real experiences of navigating things that don't always make logical sense, but your body knows to be true. We talk about the difficulty of putting spiritual experiences into words, the moments that completely shift your reality, and what it feels like when your consciousness moves beyond what you've been taught is, quote, normal, whatever that is. This conversation touches on timeline experiences, energetic attachments, intuition, and the process of learning to trust yourself when your mind is trying to keep up with something much bigger. It's raw, honest, and very much in the moment. I hope you enjoy. How long have you had a podcast?
Since May of last year.
How's it going? Do you do it every week?
It has not been consistent as of recently, for sure. Since the accident, I think I've only made one episode. And it's been like one episode either every 3 weeks or once a month.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of months where like I just didn't do anything because
Yeah.
you don't want to force to talk about something, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like how our conversations just kind of flow. Like we don't know what's gonna happen, but we know it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
You know.
I love it so much in that sense that it's like we don't have any structured thing to talk about in general. And I feel like it really frees us up to be able to go anywhere instead of like having to stick to a script. Sometimes if we have something like super specific, then that's always appreciated. But
Yeah.
this is like new for me. And what I've found to be happening is I have very long conversations with people, like over an hour and a half. And I'm like, that's too long for a podcast episode. Like I would be like overwhelmed. Like, why is this so fucking long? I just want like a quick, you know what I mean? Like a 45 minutes is like the sweet spot to an hour, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I like have been cutting them in half, like I said, which is really helpful because it's helping me to push it out farther. So I'm able to like stack up what I have. So I'm like a couple months ahead already, but I need to keep going because if I don't keep going, I'll get behind. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
I do want to keep it consistent, but also I understand and like I'm not always I haven't been this way lately, but in the past I've like religiously listened to Amy's podcast, like
Yeah.
and it's not even like I'm waiting for it like, oh, it's going to be Friday tomorrow, I can listen to the pod. It's not even like that. It's just like Friday comes and then I'm like, where's that podcast? You know what I mean? It's just, it's something that comes and, so sometimes when I would go there and there would not be one, I'd be like, oh, I have to wait. But that's how you know it's good.
Oh, for sure, man. Right there with you. It was my bestie Brandy who introduced me to Amy's podcast episodes, not last year, but the year before that, in like October when she was talking about the one instance where she was talking about a past relationship and she was like, how do you not realize that I'm a fucking fairy? Like, how dare you treat me like that? And I'm like, I can totally jump on this train right here. And it just went from there. Yes, girl.
That is so funny. I love that. So she was saying this to a partner of hers or someone that she was breaking up with or
It I don't remember exactly the episode because it was a long while ago, but it was like her thinking back to her old self in that situation with her significant other at the time,
oh, okay.
and like what she knows now. And she's like,
Yes.
I'm a fucking fairy. Like, how dare you treat me this way? How dare you think you can treat me this way?
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yes.
That was my
Oh my
introduction
gosh.
to Amy Biller.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Yes, that's like I love her way of thinking. She has such a broad vocabulary, and I really appreciate how she gives language to things because personally, my awakening was very fast. I didn't have any cognitive knowledge of the spiritual aspects of anything. And so I really was struggling to describe what I experienced. And I feel like that's quite common, especially in America, because we are not taught about chakras. We're not taught about our energy. We're not, I mean, the general population. It's silly now when I try to talk about, oh, we don't hear about these things, but that's like my entire reality. Like I open up Instagram and all it is spiritual stuff, but that's the
Right.
algorithm responding to what I fucking want. So I appreciate it. But I understand that's not true for everyone. I just wish it was, but you can't force things.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I was like, I was being interviewed a couple hours ago by this woman from I forgot where she was from. She was from the University of Michigan, and I think it was Central Michigan University. I should remember that. But anyways, her name was Michaela. She was super, super sweet, and she was asking me these really awesome questions, and I have like a really hard time articulating like what's going on up here and like getting it out in a way that makes sense. So I've the entire time she's asking me these questions and I'm like sweating and I'm like, I feel like I'm rambling. I'm like, did I make any? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, it's
I'm
not.
sure you were totally coherent and the context was all cohesive. I'm sure it was fine, but I totally understand what you're saying. You're like, I feel like I'm speaking in hieroglyphs. Am I speaking English right now?
Right.
Like,
Do you understand me? But yeah, she just has that. My friend Brandy too. She's like so elegant at saying whatever she needs to say. And I'm like, I, I, I don't, okay.
it can be really it can be very difficult, especially with spiritual experiences and like a little bit of what I've described in the past as my spiritual awakening was a timeline jump. Like my consciousness was in an alternate reality and I was aware of that and then came back into my body. Like that's very, very destabilizing. And I thought I was insane. Like I knew that I experienced it. I knew that that happened, but I was like, how? How is that possible? Is it aliens? I shouldn't talk about it. Like they're gonna come get me if I talk about like I was scared, but at the same time I was like able to peek past that veil and I saw a bunch of my past lives and how I've interacted with this entity that has I don't want to use the word possessed, but it is possessive of me. It never like possessed me. It harvests my energy and inverts it for its dark agenda since Lemuria. This has been repeated in different lifetimes. And it's like, I have this very powerful, pure energy, but it is being manipulated and altered. And like, that's not what I want. That's not my soul's purpose or mission, but it has
Mm.
what has happened. I saw it all very clearly. And I was just like, y'all are so weak. You don't even have power of your own. Fuck you. I'll eat you alive. I'll eat you for breakfast and shit you out by lunchtime. Like I was like so empowered by it because I saw so clearly how it's just fuckery. There's nothing to it. It's smoke and mirrors. They have no power over us, truly.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm like on the edge of my, I'm just realized how close I am to my computer right now. I'm like, tell me more. What are you talking about?
It's a lot. My most recent episode with Amy, I feel like it was like in the summertime, got released. I talked more about my experience than I ever had before, but I also like didn't say everything. It's so much that I like, it's hard to describe. Like I was with someone and I was about to engage in an affair, and I could sense that he was not quite himself. It seemed to be that he was, in fact, not only someone else, but like multiple other people were communicating through him. I could feel this. It was like the clairsentience in me knew it, but my mind was fighting that, like, that's impossible. That's crazy. Why are you thinking this way? Like, don't think like that. But my body is like, what the fuck is happening? This is not normal. Like, and he was like looking up and talking about me, even though we are the only two people in the room. And I lost consciousness. I like had this severe pain in my solar plexus. At the time, I thought it was my stomach, but also I didn't even realize how serious or severe, and I didn't feel pain initially. It was only after I woke up. So I passed out face down, holding my stomach, which was my solar plexus. And that's where I got like psychically attacked. However, they did this, I still don't have full clarity, but they took my consciousness and put it in an alternate timeline. I, in that alternate timeline, was already in progress with a very aggressive situation. Like I was like in about to fight, but my current energy came there. So I was like, wait, what? You know, like, why am I fighting? Like, what is this going to do? Like, what's actually happening? And because I slowed down and asked those questions, my heart, like, it was like everything just was like back into my heart, and I like dropped back down into my body, and I felt the pain in my stomach, and I noticed that I was face down on the floor, right? And he's sitting on a couch probably like 10 feet away from me laughing. And I look up and I see this screen floating above me in the air, and he's like he's watching this screen like he just saw what I experienced. And it's like he put me in a simulation. That's what I thought had happened.
Mm.
And I guess within a year, I went to see a local shaman, and she described it differently as it was not a simulation, though my consciousness has been put in simulations many, many, many times from different factions, different things, whatever. I'm all over the place. I'm in and out of different dimensions, timeline jumping constantly, and I don't even realize the magnitude of like how frequently I do this. But
Mm.
uh it became very clear to me in that moment that I actually held all of the cards. And it's funny because I was like, why are you doing this to me? Is it because I'm so powerful? Like, because I could see how powerful I was through it. I don't know if that, I feel like it was divine disclosure, but it may have been like an overload of information. I don't know if you've ever seen The Good Place. Have you
Yeah.
ever? Okay. So, you know, like toward the end, Chidi is still asleep in the experiment, you know, and they're like, we have to wake him up and ask him what to do. Like, he's the only one who will know. And Michael has to, like, he just snaps his fingers, but it's like the time is dilated to the point where, like, all of his experiences have to go back into his memory and be, like, in order for him to assimilate all the information. It was like that. Um, and I was pretty cool about it. Like I wasn't like screaming and like upset and crying and scared. I was like interrogating the people that were in the person I was with. Like I was like, is it because I'm the only one with my name? it's definitely that because I understood like the numerological aspects that correspond to our soul and how we have like numbers and values, and it was very strange. And I was just like, oh, I know who the fuck I am. Why are you trying to fuck with me? It was very interesting.
That
Um,
is incredibly wild and so amazing. So, like, first of all, wow, and go you,
Thank
right?
you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's intense, man. And second, so I think it was over the summertime. I was listening to a lot of Mysterious Universe. Love those guys. They retired. Sucks, but they're freaking cool. Have you ever listened to their
I've
podcast?
not. I'll
Oh my
have to
goodness.
now.
They're Australian. Um, that's all you need to know. No, I'm just kidding. They talk about everything, metaphysical, like just creepy, cool stuff, right? Just
Yeah.
general ghosts. I can't think of anything else at the moment, but there's one episode in particular that brought up like the New Age movement and how like they they even said themselves towards the end of their times working on that podcast. They're like, we're jaded. I'm sorry. We've been doing this for 20 years. You know, it all comes back to the same thing. So sorry if we seem like Debbie Downers, but their stories are really cool. So, you take it or leave it.
Yeah.
They were talking about the New Age movement and how spirituality has become a business, which it
Mm.
has,
Yeah.
but also how, like all of these practices are ancient and should be respected, but they're not in the
Hmm.
aspect of like Western society.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
When we come in, we're completely open to everything. So we're open to the good, we're open to the bad, we're open, not good and bad.
But yeah, well,
You know,
here there is duality, so there is good and bad. But yes, I
right.
understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Higher vibrational entities that are, benevolent to the lower vibrational entities that are very malevolent. And how they were following the story of this woman who used to be Catholic. She left her church in order to expand her horizons and, you know, feel out new ways of beliefs and, all these things. And she came involved with this Reiki practitioner. The Reiki practitioner led her to a group of people who would do like Reiki on each other. They'd talk about energy. It was like a circle for meditation and just meeting new people, right? So she's all happy, as I would be too, right? This is cool, like-minded people. Well, come to find out, like throughout her journey, she was getting like psychically attacked often to
Mm.
the point to where her higher self was letting her receive images of like how this was happening. And for example, in this group that she was in, um, she had met a man and he was like one of two men in this group that was mainly women, right? And he was very attracted to her. She wasn't physically attracted to him at all. They would hang out and do Reiki sessions on each other. Well, eventually, over like a course of a few weeks or a month or something, she became like infatuated with him out of nowhere.
Mm.
And
Very
she was
interesting.
finding him very physically attractive. And they started a relationship. And, when they started getting physically intimate, her higher self let her see that during the initial Reiki session where he was working on her, he put a cord from him to her
Yeah,
to
and he
where
was
he
filling
could,
her with that.
yeah,
That's very similar to what was occurring with me too. Yeah, for
icky.
sure. Yeah, super icky. And I've had to deal with super complex feelings about this specific entity. I'm gonna describe it as like an archon,
Mhm.
taking a Lemurian priestess. I'm sure that's like the easiest way to explain. They came in, they disrupted the divine blueprint, they took the power source of divinity and they raped, pillaged, owned, branded, all the things. They think they own me, whatever. Not a chance. Anyway, it's also complex because throughout different lifetimes and I've had dreams and meditations and journeys and they're very very linked to the fact that I also felt love, obligation, guilt, I was heavily manipulated and programmed by these different lifetimes, by this entity in particular, like for me to continue to work with it without realizing that I'm giving my power away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, you are amazing. Just opening up the doors and like having conversations like this that I normally wouldn't necessarily have with, well, especially since I'm just sitting on the couch. Not anyone in my family for sure, but on a daily basis, like not very many people would I have a conversation like this with. And as you're explaining this, it just makes me look at my own life like, wow, yeah. Okay. Well, I can see how that played out there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because even when I had talked with Amy and actually a couple of the episodes that we did together, there was a huge like sacral chakra wound, solar plexus wound, and root chakra, but a lot of it was dealing with the divine masculine energy and the divine feminine energy, and how like the divine masculine for me, either how it played out in my life throughout the different lifetimes and also within myself, was so wounded because of that root cause from Lemuria to begin
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
that could just see how it played out in like all of the different relationships, either romantically or even like with my dad or my stepdad or whatever. It's not so. Thank you for
Yeah.
my eyes.
It's and Stockholm syndrome is real when you are a truly empathetic person. When you are highly sensitive, you do pick up on the feelings of others and you do assume that they're yours. And so it helps you to understand other people, but the tricky part is like that's your energy. And if they're not giving it to you, which they're definitely not, I mean, not that they're not always, but like when you have an attachment with an entity, they're like 100% not reciprocating energy. They're living off, it's a parasite essentially.
Right.
Um, Again, though, parasites eat the things that are causing the toxicity in your body. So parasites are there when there's an environment that suits them. Same with entities. So it's like you can't be like, oh my God, there's parasites. And it's like you get rid of all the parasites. Well, then you're going to have an overgrowth of yeast. You're going to have like, heavy metal issues, blah, blah. Like they're getting rid of all that stuff. So they're there because you have the conditions that are suiting them to survive. So let's,
Absolutely. That's
let's,
with everything like this, like with everything like this, it kind of goes into a bigger, broader picture of like, for one, it always comes back to you. Always comes back to you as like you might not have intentionally wanted this thing to happen or asked for this thing to happen, but there's some type of frequency, vibration, a match within you to said parasite that matches, which is why they're in your your energy field, why they're in your world.
Yeah. And I believe things in a very optimistic, hopeful way.
Yeah.
I'm just built that way. Unfortunately, it's like unrelenting hope, which can be fucking hard sometimes, but like also not because it's just like I it's actually I feel like it's not even mine. Like I just pull it out of my soul. Like it's not even mine. It's like an endless river of hope. So I can't even help it sometimes, but I do believe that like it's not a bad thing when you discover that you have an entity. I've had several people in my life that I've worked with and become friends with in different groups, doing readings and things, and they're like, oh, you have an entity. I'm like, yeah, I chose that before I came here to help me with my own self love. Once I reach the point that I can recognize that and why it's attached to me, and I can detach that myself, nobody else is going to be able to cut those cords for me because it's not time yet. Like, you
Yeah.
can try to cut them, but don't shame me when they come back because I have not yet reached my evolution with this being. And there's an agreement there. And, like, yeah, it's interesting how sometimes people working with different people in my past, they would be like, oh, there's an entity. It doesn't want you to tell the truth about this to this person. And I'm like, so then I'm definitely going to. Like, why would you, what, like, you're telling, so I had a Reiki practitioner and uh, she was great. She taught me Reiki. She was my Reiki master. And I also did like personal gardening for her because I do landscaping. And she hired me to do her landscaping, which was great. She has beautiful property and it's very like sacred. And I would always connect with the plants. And it was wonderful for a time. And I went through a situation, I think I may have mentioned it. Like I had an affair, and this is the person that I was with, and he became infiltrated by multiple other beings that are also humans. Like it's not just entities or like something that like from another world. Like they're also humans and they body hopped. Like they know how to do that and they've worked toward that. Dark agenda stuff. Don't worry about it. But it's I felt very I had a lot of guilt and shame, and it was glaringly obvious that this entity love to eat that up. So I was like, I need to get rid of this guilt and shame that I have for having a relationship with a man who was unavailable. He had a girlfriend and I knew about her. We didn't talk about her. It's not like I was like, leave your girlfriend. Like I was like, I don't want to do this. This hurts my feelings. You know what I mean? Like I broke it off with him and I was like, I'm not going to contribute to something that is lying to someone else. Like I just won't do it karmically. Like I already know better than that. So I cut it off with him, but he passed away like 2 months later. And I really had a very strong connection with him. Like, obviously, otherwise, I would not have done this. But I struggled with his death. And he also, I gave him a piece of my soul. I didn't realize I did this, but in that process, I did offer him a piece of my soul because I recognized, like, first of all, that was our agreement. I was supposed to offer a piece and he was not supposed to take it this time. We've done it in the past as well. He took it. And then when he passed away, he was using that piece of my soul as a bargaining chip. So he did not transition fully and he was using it to stay closer to the earth plane. And I was getting psychically attacked and I felt everything that he was feeling. And I was processing his own death within myself and my emotion. It was, but I couldn't share it with anyone because I'm the other woman. Nobody cares about me. I had to keep it a secret. I had to not talk about it, but it was like it like fucking killed me. Um, in the best way. I was reborn though. But it's so I was consulting with her and I was like I really really feel that I need to go to his ex-girlfriend and let her know. Like I just can't stop thinking about it. I feel very guilty. And she was like, all of a sudden she noticed something in the corner, right? Like her attention was definitely on the corner. And she's like, there's an entity here and it does not want you to do that. And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so are you working for the entity? Like what, like why aren't you
Right.
working for me or for them? Like, why do
Can
you
you can you
think
piece them yeah.
yeah, like well, why do you think that it doesn't want me to tell the truth? Why would that ever be? When ultimately all there is truth. It just you know what I mean? Ultimately. So then like why would it benefit me to lie and continue this type of karma?
Hmm.
No, thank you. So I did tell her. She wasn't very happy, but it is what it is. I felt better.
Right.
So
No, that's beautiful and it really makes so much sense. Like, oh man. So a lot of times, we don't realize that when we're going into relationships, whether they're a long time, a couple months, a couple of weeks, like you share yourself with the other person in a physical but also energetic, emotional, mental, spiritual sense. And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, like I have realized that um, with one past relationship, for example, like that was it was karmic in a way that I needed to walk away from it 100%. But it was also so many, like lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. We had this really deep connection, and it was like, we had been broken up for years, right? Years. We weren't like friends, so we didn't talk all the time, but we also weren't like we didn't hate each other. But all of a sudden he would pop in my head out of nowhere and I'd be like, oh, that's weird. What am I
Mm,
thinking about him?
mm.
And then I'd check, one of my social media platforms and be like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Isn't that funny? When you think about, I was thinking about that earlier. I don't want to interrupt you, but it's funny because I sent Amy an invitation to be on the podcast, and a couple weeks ago she booked it. But that day I was like, I wonder if she's gonna book it. She might be really busy. I don't know. But I was thinking about her, and then I got a notification like she booked it, and I was like, holy shit, I definitely am psychic. You know what I mean? But I totally, especially in romantic relationships, those cores are so strong and you feel what they're feeling, you know what they're thinking. And I didn't even mention this before, but that experience I had with this person who I wanted to be my partner, he also was reading my mind before I went unconscious. Like he was like, "Oh, guess what that woman's name is that lives over there?" And I was like, "I don't know. I haven't met her." And he's like, "Just guess." And then I was like thinking in my head, and I was like, "Susan." But his mom's name was Susan. So I was like, I'm not gonna say Susan, say Suzanne. And then he was like, Susan, Suzanne, like touching his temple, saying exactly what I was thinking. And then I was like, what the fuck? Like what? Like you really can read my mind. How long have you been doing that? Like what do you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, oh, sorry. Well, I have something
But
pop.
at the same time, now I feel like very sad because it's not easy to find a connection like that. That's a once in a lifetime, that's a twin flame kind of connection. And when I just might have to live the rest of my life without finding someone with a connection like that literally can read my mind. And the intimacy of that was terrifying, but I also I don't want it any other way. Like that's how I want my love to be, but it's scary as shit.
Oh, I mean, that's 100%. And in that relationship, like you experience I'm assuming, like, the highs of the love and this is beautiful and what a great connection, but also the opposite side of that coin with everything that transpired from that and then his death, obviously. Um, so sad.
Um,
It it's so it is so wild. So like with that person that I was in a relationship with, it got to the point where I was really recognizing like it was almost instant. Like when he would randomly pop in my head and then, I'd receive a message or whatever. I got to the point where I was like, okay, this is really weird and I'm uncomfortable by it and I don't like it. Like I've moved on with my life. We need to do
Yeah.
something here. Um, I went and I still had a bunch of stuff that he had given me, like feathers or dried up roses or like little statues or whatever. Eventually they just became a part of the background of my bedroom. So I never thought about it as, oh, this is from so and so. It was just like
Yeah.
stuff. So um I
But they're
gathered,
like totems though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I remembered I gathered up all of these things, and a lot of them were flammable, like piece of paper, feathers, or whatever. And I went and like gathered up all the things and I lit them on fire and I said a little prayer and I was like, I'm done. I'm gone. We're done with this. Thank you. It's over. And the craziest thing was that before before I had done that, I've got glimpses of our past lives together here and there throughout the years, and there was quite a few. And at first, like this first one that I had seen felt really loving, where we were in the jungle. Like I don't even know where we were. It was a jungle that looked like clayey dirt. He was tan, I was tan. He and I were both like kneeling in the middle of this walkway. And he went and like grabbed the back of my head and put my forehead to his forehead, like, because he was leaving to go off to like fight something or whatever, and I had to stay behind. And he was like, "You are mine and I am yours," and it felt really loving, right?
Oh, I just
But
got like shit, like seriously. Oh my gosh, I could feel that. Yeah.
so I was like, okay, well, it was a great relationship. Thank you. I don't need it anymore. You know, I acknowledge that we have this bond or had this bond.
Hmm.
Be gone, you know.
Hmm.
But as soon as I had lit all of that stuff on fire, I went and meditated. So I was outside, obviously. And I came back to that same moment, except it wasn't in a loving way. It was more like he was leaving and he knew that I had a chance to leave him if I wanted to. And he like grabbed me by the back of my hair and put my head against his head. And he was like, "I am yours and you are mine and you are not leaving me," kind of a thing.
There's that way too. That is so interesting that you can see it both ways. And in your memory, even though it may have been always that second way, that aggressive, possessive way,
Mhm.
but in your mind and in your heart, you saw it in a loving way because that's where you come from. That's how you see things and understand things. And that's how you would probably prefer to reflect on something.
Mhm.
I totally understand that. And even in that moment when it is possessive and aggressive, the very complex feelings of that is still loving, but it's a different kind of love. It's not an exalted love. It's not an unconditional love. It's a very conditional possessive love. But yeah,
Right.
very complex. Yeah.
Weird and crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, Energy entanglement is for sure. And
Yeah.
along with what you were saying, with like the attachments and whatnot, that was the other part of the Mysterious Universe episode, was that a lot of the new age spiritual teachers that this woman came in contact with were actually being controlled by negative or lower vibrational entities and have
Hmm.
no idea. And they're teaching people,
Hmm.
"Oh, follow me. Oh, listen to what I say, blah, blah,
And the
blah."
attunement, the energetic attunement is then connecting those people with that entity as well. Well, all of Reiki is from an entity, from what I understand. But he went up on a mountain, fasted,
You
had
silly
these
Cynthia.
channeled this information. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, sorry. You
Oh,
silly.
you
Yes.
so yes. So then he came back down with this information, but from what I understand, it did come from an entity. I don't mean that to say every entity is demonic. Entities are entities. They just are beings,
Right.
many, all levels, whatever. But because there must be some type of exchange. There is an exchange when you are like, I will be attuned by this method and use these symbols that are also known as sigils, I would say. I don't like it. I've never used the symbols in Reiki. I've always been super weirded out.
Okay.
When people are like, when it's very ritualistic, something has to be done just this way. You say these words, you move in this direction. I'm like, yo, let me get the fuck out of here. Cause I should, that's some lower stuff. Higher stuff is it blankets you in love and it just elevates effortlessly. The cells change, everything vibrates differently. You don't need to sacrifice anything.
Right.
It just is. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I love that absolutely so much, because there's 2 points to that. One, I completely understand about the whole, you have to put your hands in this particular way, you have to say this particular thing, you have to go from here in, sections.
Yes, a process, of course. Yes.
Right. But like, that is how I learned, for sure. And that is also how in the be like in the beginning of the class, how I teach, like, these are the guidelines. However, you do what you are called to do for yourself,
Yeah.
because ultimately, like, you're the one working with the universal life force energy. You are the one who, like, everybody receives information differently, therefore they work with energy differently.
Yes.
So what looks one way to me is going to look completely different to you.
Yes.
Also, um, my friend Megan had brought up a really good point. She was a Reiki practitioner. She also did like Akashic record readings, and she had a calling to like leave absolutely everything. And I had asked her like, what's going on? How are you feeling? How did you come to this conclusion? All of those things. And we're really good friends. Like she's actually coming over tomorrow. But yeah, she was like, I don't know, especially with the Reiki symbols, if they're not sacred anymore and everyone is using them willy-nilly, does it really hold the same power that it once did? You know? And
Yeah,
that kind of made me think.
that is a very good point. I would say it's almost like words lose their power when you say them too much too, like the F word, or you know, it's just sort of like the energy behind it. Is it tainted if it's being, well, I disagree again because of like the crazy hopeful optimism, like the weirdest thing. I always
That's
believed like in
fantastic.
good things, but yeah, I mean, it could go either way. Uh, but I think overall the intention that's held within each person is really what transmits. Um, but that's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, over the course of the last 3 years or so, getting to know my bilocated selves partner, or I don't know what you would call her. They're like bestie sisters, kind of like me and my bestie sister, right? And they work together. And so, like, my bilocated self's name is Nadea, and her, like, bestie sister helper person is Vadea. And over the last 3 years, I've received like 5 or 6 different symbols with like their energetic intention in
Hmm.
what they mean. And I use those in my Reiki practice quite often because, like they came to me from them. And it's funny because when I first started receiving these things, I didn't know what they were. I was like, that's a wild symbol that keeps popping in my head and won't go away. It must mean something. I should probably write
Yeah.
it down.
Yes.
And when I was focusing on the symbol, I'm like, what is this? It took me a long while to get a name, right? And rarely would I like see the name written. It was more of like them me hearing it and like trying to figure out how to write it or whatever. Um, but 9 times out of 10, all of the names that came up with the symbols are actually rooted in Sanskrit, which like
Wow.
I have no idea
Yeah.
or how to speak in Sanskrit or read it or whatever. Um, but that was how I knew, like, okay, well, if Nadea and Vidya are Pleiadian Syrian, that like their skin tone, the hair, the eyes, everything all connects with like the Hinduism, Hindi gods and goddesses, and
Mm.
their blue skin and dark hair and blah blah blah.
Mm.
And then,
Yes.
Hindi and Sanskrit kind of they definitely go hand in hand. So it was
Yes.
all coming together as something that I was like, okay, this is something. Like I can hold on to this. This is tangible. It feels good to me.
It's so interesting that you're talking about this today. You mentioned it, I feel like, a few times because it's popped into my head, but I didn't say it. But earlier today, I saw a post and I couldn't tell you who posted it, but it was like India is the only country to have integrated psychological and spiritual, like, as a baseline. Like that's what they teach. Like that is just known that like the psychology is not treated like it is in the Western world. The psychology is treated like, oh, your soul is misidentified from itself. It's not that you have a disorder. It's that like your soul's out of alignment. You know what I mean? And I
Yes.
just like, and it's funny, I live in Pennsylvania. It's a pretty affluent area of Pennsylvania. I think it's probably like the one of the top 10 wealthiest counties in America, actually. And I'm not saying that like I'm wealthy. Like I'm just from here. And I look around and I'm like, I can't afford to live here anymore because all you fucks moving in. Anyway, but that's the way it goes. Gentrification, eh? But
Yeah.
I I forget where I was going with this. That's so funny. Oh, well, just the fact that like us around here, there are a lot of Indian immigrants moving into the areas. Like I live in a townhouse development since I've moved from my marital home after divorce, and the majority of the population are Indian. I started to date someone across the street from me who's not Indian, and his brother came over and made a comment about how there are so many Indians. And I thought it was funny because how short-sighted to say like okay, so I brought up the world map of like populations and it showed like a bubble of percentages of like the population of the world, right? Obviously, they're like one of the largest populations in the entire world. So it only stands to reason that they are going to expand and they are going to exist. Like, it's not like there are a lot of Indians. It's actually just more accurately reflected as in regard to the population. And he was like, had nothing to say. Like, he had nothing to say. Like, I think he was kind of trying to be like, lots of Indians around here. And I'm like, well, I actually love learning about their holidays and practices and how they work with their families and how they're all connected in the community. Like, I appreciate that. So I think it's cool. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's just so much
Like,
like,
America's like 4% of the population,
yeah,
right? And then it makes you be humble up a little bit, like, oh, and we're the newest. Well, I'm not the newest, one of the newest nations. Like, we don't know shit about shit. Our
right.
history has been taught to us by Rockefeller administration. We don't know anything. We must assume that we are absolute idiots and just try to absorb worldly knowledge for the
Yeah,
sake for our own sakes.
absolutely. And so that's the craziest thing in the world that how, like you had said, in India, it's spiritual alignment first, spiritual health first, mental health, and then like, oh, here's your basic human stuff that you need to do, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely incredible. So, as I was talking earlier about how I have a really difficult time articulating what it is that I mean to say, like for example, with the children's book Love Filled and whatnot, is like that is the purpose of that book is to bring that here, but
Yeah.
have the kids hear the message from the time that they're little up until maybe they can read themselves so that they can put that first and foremost in their life as their
Yeah.
own individual, autonomous little tiny selves.
Yes.
Because, like, yeah, we're trying, but we're still packaging it in a way that is a business because America is just literally consumerism. Like that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Try to let's try to get out of that a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
like
we might need to go somewhere else, you know? I've been thinking about that. It's not that crazy of an aspiration to live in a community where you like work and like, and I let me preface this by saying I would be a million miles away from any kind of cult vibes, but
yeah,
like a community that is based in humanity that literally focuses on our health and well-being mentally, physically, like that's what I want. And I know that it exists because I mean, we're humans on Earth. That's what we're here for. Like, what?
and that's the thing when you are talking with people about this concept, it's really easy for people to just assume like, oh, well, that means that you don't want to work. well, that means that you just don't like want to contribute. That means that you're lazy. And it's like, no, 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 no. I'm like one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. However, I'm not going to spend my life on a hamster wheel working for somebody else just to afford a roof over my head and have no time to live my divine truth. Like,
Yeah.
it's not in alignment with my plan at all.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think we are all waking up to that realization. It's just,
We'll
it's not
get there.
happening.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, yeah, maybe next year,
Maybe next year,
2022.
every American will say, instead of having the auto pay for the mortgage, I'm going to turn off auto pay, not paying my mortgage this month. Can you imagine if every American did that? How long would it take the banks to fail? How quickly would we be like, oh shit, just like I did in my realization after that total like dissolution of reality. And then, like, I was like, oh shit, you have no power at all. It'll be like that. Like, it only takes a little bit.
Yeah,
But
wait,
just
just
egging on like anarchy, I guess, but I don't mean to do that.
a little bit at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
But that is the Amy Bella saying, calling the bluff of the false matrix, because it
yeah.
is 100% true. And it's like, okay, well, we all talk about this utopian society that is absolutely doable.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. We're still working because we're taking care of ourselves. We're taking care of our land. We're taking care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not feeding money into the system anymore. We're creating our own system.
100%.
And like, where does that start?
Yeah.
Like what cogs need to fall off the wheel in order to get that ball rolling and everyone to jump on board? We don't know. Well, maybe we
Yeah.
don't need to know.
And maybe
But
not everyone will, and that's okay too. But I don't know how it would be sustainable unless like the majority of the population was thinking differently and putting their energy towards something different. I
right.
believe it. I mean, I think as like the younger generations, our kids aren't going to be dealing with any of this bullshit. They're going to be like, no, no,
Yeah,
we're star seeds. We know better. No, thank you.
right. Oh my goodness, absolutely. And it's like my youngest son, he's 6, so who knows what he's gonna do? He's just a crazy boy who loves dirt bikes and painting and all the cool things. My middle child, he is a sports athlete, 100 million%. That's what his drive is. He wants to be in the NFL. Badass. That's totally you. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. My oldest is 16. And I I'm not him, so I don't know. But I totally feel like he's just here to just like experience life
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
to also like emotionally work through some heavy stuff that's just been in there since before he was born,
Hmm.
but just here to experience life. So for people like that, like where do they fit into this society? Because they
Yeah,
end up going to a job that they hate because that sounds very pessimistic. But I mean, from
that doesn't feed their soul.
right, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Okay. And so then they're just stuck on this wheel, and then they're, oh God,
Oh God, it breaks my heart. Like, I
this is
can't. We cannot let our kids do that. We can't. We
no,
can't. It's
right.
our responsibility to set them up to be like, you're actually a free agent. Like, you can make this world. Okay.
Yeah. So I am trying to navigate that with him because I tell him all the time, like, you can literally do whatever you want to do. You just need to learn how to um, take care of yourself.
So, this definitely felt like one of those conversations where there was no clean ending. I decided to just pause, and there will be a part two. We covered a lot in this first part, and honestly, it only goes deeper from here. In part two, Mandy and I continue into conversations around energetic entanglement, relationships, attachment, and what it actually means to reclaim your energy when you've shared it with others, intentionally or not. So if you're listening in real time, just know this was recorded a little while ago, and even now, it feels incredibly relevant. If this episode brought anything up for you, trust that. Let it sit, let it integrate, and I would love to hear from you. reach out. Rate, review, subscribe, send me messages. Enjoy this track, Lights and Shadows by Stilo Free, and I'll see you in the next one.
Pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? Nowadays you don't gotta mind me. In the end I hope you really find peace. I had to set my mind free, I had to let my soul breathe. Moon sign Pisces, heart broke psyche. Angels all around me, but demons wanna fight me. Feel like I had to fight myself. No, I had to look inside myself. With a predisposition to addiction. Through the negatives, I'm still focused on the vision. It's sorta like that first scene you see in Pulp Fiction. I see the end, but it's really only the beginning. I had to find a way to be grateful for them locked doors that you made close. When doves cry, it's so painful, but the purple rain is so graceful. Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? Yeah. I'm fighting battles, lost between the lights and the shadows. Tryna shoot me down, I'm dodging all the ammo. Left me hanging, I escaped from the gallows. Swim through the ether, blowing on a reefer. Running like Rev when he rapped about Adidas. It's like my flow is heaven sent. My energy could shift the cards in your tarot deck. Life ain't always what it seems. An alternate reality, I'm living in a dream. I got the Stussy on the T with the 501 jeans. Ray-Ban Lokes with the Air Max 3s. Mandela effect, got me living my best. I gotta jump timelines when I'm living in stress. And a spliff in my chest, it got me lifting and blessed. Peace, you know the rest.